Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. I figured it was time for a little garden tour since you haven't been here since we literally installed the beds. I thought I would video a lot more of this project this year, but you know, we got a lot going on. So I am going to give you a little tour of the garden so far. It's the 4th of July. If you're new here, subscribe. If you're not, I'm Allie. We live off grid and we're just figuring it out. Thank you so much. Meets my skin. Even with my eyes still closed. Alright, so here is the garden. We built it with some poplar trees that we had cut down on the property, and I put chicken fencing around so that smaller critters couldn't get in. A lot of you thought maybe deer would jump in, but we haven't had any problems, probably because we have 3 dogs, and also it's pretty small. It's only 20 by 20. There's a lot of stuff inside, but we haven't had any trouble with deer, which is great, or the cows that come over from the neighbors, so that's awesome. I just used chicken fence as fencing. I used zip ties and then a little carabiners, and that's also worked just fine for now. In the front here, it's not pretty, but I planted a whole bunch of wildflowers and sunflowers, and I haven't had anything bloom yet, and it's also a bunch of weeds, but hopefully next year I'll have a lot take. I also planted a lot of bulbs like lilies and dahlias, and I have a few coming up, so hopefully those will bloom soon, but I haven't had a lot of luck with flowers so far this year. Right, then I have these 2 cattle panels, which are so cute. I picked these flowers here. None of them are open at the moment. I got these from a local nursery, and I don't love them. They're very weak. So if it's dry, or they are vining well, like they're all the way up here, but they're just not what I thought they'd be. They're not as full, and I don't love them, so I won't use those next year. Also over here I have cucumbers, which these are not doing well either. So we have a small one there. We've already picked one off of here, and then we've had some lopsided ones. I'm not sure if it's because the soil's not deep enough over here or what, but they're just like growing weirdly, like they're watered differently, but everything is watered the same, so I think it's the soil and the drainage. Then I got this sage plant. I just got this at a farmer's market for buy one get one free, and it was only $1, so I got a bunch of little herbs. This tomato plant is actually just growing out of the compost, but we're getting some tomatoes on it, so I was just letting it go. So in this front garden bed by the trellis, I have Brussels sprouts and then cauliflower, and then whatever has grown out of the compost I've just let go. So I also have this little guy coming up, but these Brussels sprouts are doing really well, although I did have cabbage worms eating the leaves, and I found so many one day, picked them all off, and then Roan started crying and I forgot about them, and they all just crawled out from where I was keeping them. And then this cauliflower, it flowered, and I'm thinking that's donezo. I'm not sure. I need to Google that. But we have some more coming in here. But again, the bugs are getting to these. I've sprayed neem oil on them, but it's not working all the way. So in these beds, I put pine shavings as mulch, and I only did that because it's what we had and I was done spending money. And I know it's not the best mulch, and it's worked for what we have, although I did plant a lot of flowers and things from seed between the plants, and I haven't had anything sprout or come up. I'm not sure if it's because of the mulch or something else, but that's something that I need to work on for next year. So over here on this trellis, we have more cucumbers, and I've gotten so many cucumbers off this plant already. I don't know what to do with them all. We've got, let's see, here's some good ones. Big thick one. We've got one growing in here. Probably pick that one today. And then we've got some babies growing up. We also don't have a mulch, as you can see, so we've had a lot of weeds and things in between, but Dylan's just been weed eating it. Mulching between the garden beds and things is another thing that I really want to do in the future, but just something that we didn't want to spend money on this year. So with the cucumbers here, they've been doing really well. These were actually from seed, this leafy green, and then I got these watermelon plants just recently at that same farmer's market, and so we'll see what comes of those. Got an oregano, so I was just planting it in the bare spots. These tomatoes are from the compost that weren't fully degraded, but the cucumber plant has been doing really, really well. Then over in this bed, I originally had lettuces and they were not doing well at all, so I went ahead and pulled them out because they were just dying. And I recently planted onions and they're all sprouting up. And then over here we have carrots that I planted from seed, and there's a million little tiny sprouts, but there's way too many. I'm not sure how to thin them, and I'm not sure. If you have any tips on that, I just let it go. There's a whole bunch of sprouts, but I don't know if any of them are going to actually get big. Alright, over here we have a bell pepper plant, and we've already gotten 4 bell peppers off of this plant, as you can see where I pulled them off here. I'm hoping it's going to flower again and produce some more throughout the summer, but there's none actively on there right now. And then I planted onions all around those. Then over here I planted peppers with marigolds in between. And so we've got different pepper plants here. So I have all these marigolds, but none are blooming. So I'm not sure what's going on, and they're so big. I thought marigolds were smaller. I don't know if I got the wrong kind or what's going on, but there's some peppers in between here and they're starting to flower. So I'm excited about those. Then as we move down, we've got all of our tomatoes, and we finally got some turning red. So these are Roma tomatoes for salsa and sauces. And then I've got more marigolds in between. Got tons of tomatoes on here. And then these are Juliet tomatoes, which are like cherry tomatoes. I loved these last summer, and they just kept producing all summer long. And so I planted them again, and they are doing so well. They're really tall. And then in this bed here, we've got all of our zucchini plants, and we've gotten so many zucchinis already. And there's some big ones down there that we need to pick today. Roan, look at that big guy.
Got it?
Is it heavy? How's it taste? And then over here in this bucket, we have our potatoes. And then in our last bed here, I picked up these poblano peppers late in the season also. I had a lot of free spots over here because I had planted a bunch of strawberry plants, but I only had 2 survive. So I've got one here and then one right here. And we have our first red strawberry. Pull. You go pull. Get it. Good job. Take a bite. Not the whole thing. You ate the whole thing. You ate the green and all. You want to spit out the green part? So we got the water going from the pond, and it's worked great all summer. Like, we've been using this for everything. We've never had a hose before, so it's been so nice. I've been able to give the dogs a bath outside, water the garden, and it's been awesome. What's it taste like? Take a bite. Oh. All those years ago that never fade away. These are stevers. Water the plants, Roan. When you hit the ground, I can recall the time and place on a midnight walk through the old streets, trying to turn back the clock to the days of old. Does it have seeds? Back to the days. Did you take a bite of it? Things we knew were made of gold. As the world there's a chip on the face. Time sings a song in the old neighborhood. As the clock strikes 1, the memory lives just as it stood, like a quiet dream.
Shadows of that time are cast beneath the streetlight beam as the world moves on. Time sings on.
Alright guys, it's now the end of July and I just spent some time in my garden. I was editing the gardening video and it looks completely different, so I just wanted to give you a little quick tour of what it looks like now at the end of July. Worms have destroyed my Brussels sprouts. I've just given up. Look at all these peppers, Roni. Put in the basket. So I actually planted a new round of potatoes here. So these are white and red potatoes. I planted over here in some bare spots. The strawberries are doing pretty good and the poblanos are starting to bloom. So that's all for the garden tour. A quick little video. It's a small little garden, but I am happy with it. I can manage it. I can take care of it. I've got new ideas for next year. And it's all as well. So if you have any tips, let me know in the comments below. And subscribe if you haven't.